Hi, everybody. Welcome to Fridays with Sue and Steph. We are today going to talk about, we've sent a lot of kids to college. I've sent 5 kids to college. Stephanie sent 3 kids to college. And, you know, we wouldn't call ourselves experts, but we have a lot that we've learned along the way that other parents could benefit from. So we thought, why not? Why wouldn't we tell you what we've learned? And Stephanie is going to be masking and unmasking as we go through this conversation. So when you don't have a mask on, we'll have you talk. So why don't you start? Start
Okay.
with like, what are the things you wish you'd known?
Okay. I'll give you my first one.
Okay.
The amount of pressure that they feel during this time. Like, I think I did not understand the dynamic of everyone asking them wherever they went, whether it was school, whether it was relatives, whether it didn't matter. Work, wherever, people always asking, so what's the plan for next year? What's the plan for next year? And how much they don't need that coming from any extra places is what I'll say.
Oh no, so that's great. So like it as the parents and the family, you don't have to add more to that. Like they're
Nope.
getting it everywhere they go. We
Correct.
could we could be the safe place.
You took
The
the words
safe
right out of my mouth.
Oh, sorry.
No, no,
Say it.
no.
Say it.
Exactly. Exactly. I was thinking we could be that safe space because they are getting it everywhere. That's a really hard thing to do, especially on child number one. I think everything's hard to do on child number one, but something that I learned as time went on, but just that incredible stress that they feel and incredible pressure.
And that leads to one, maybe this is on your list, but one of the things we heard over and over again from experts is pick a day. Like
Yeah.
don't have it be a conversation like when your kid walks in from school every day. So, how did school go? And what'd you do about college? And asking all your questions, but pick one day a week that you tell your kids, like you agree with your kids, you articulate it out loud. So it's not like, gee, I think my mom has Sundays as our college day. Just say it so that they know the rest of the week they are free from conversation about college in your house. And
Yep.
they
We were
can
Sundays at 5, and that was our time.
Sundays at 5. So,
Mhm.
it's such a healthy way to look at this. Nothing more or less is going to get done, but it's going to give your kid just a sense of freedom to walk in the door knowing today's not the day. And also, like we've done this in my house with other things where we set a time to talk about something. And when
Mhm.
you make that list, by the time comes around to have the conversation, many of those things weren't as important as you thought they were.
That is such a good point of that. I wasn't even thinking in those terms. That's a great point.
I thank you.
No, it's true. I was thinking of it more as the repository of all the stuff so you don't make them crazy. But I forgot that, like, yeah, maybe if you had 8 things, all of a sudden you have 2.
Yeah, because in the moment, your kid could say something casual, or your friend could say something casual, more likely about what their kid is doing. You're like, I don't know about this. I'm going to put this on my list. And then you wake up 2 days later and you're like, I don't know about this because I don't care. Like, I just don't care.
I was thinking
So,
we should, well, we can address this later, but maybe we should have a ninth because I think we'd have a lot of really good rules for that ninth kid. But anyway, we can talk about that later.
and oh, I say, like, I've said it here. If I had a sixth kid, I think I could be
Hmm.
a really good mother, like really home run mother. But I'm not. So there you go.
All right, what's yours?
So my first one, Frank Bruni wrote a book, and I never get the title right, but it's something like "Where You Go Doesn't Define You" or something. Um, isn't who you'll be, or something like that. And my favorite story of my 5 kids is that one was applying to college and didn't apply to a college that another kid had gone to. And that kid said, "Why aren't you applying there?" And the one who was applying said, "You didn't seem like you liked it so much." And that other kid said, I liked it as much as I would have liked any college. So I think, not all of our kids college is going to be the time of their life. And
Hmm.
so the amount spending 4 years in high school focused on college being the time of your life and making the right decision when there, I think, are many right decisions for our kids. And also, we're not in the driver's seat here. So we can make the right decision, but guess what? They might not pick you. So I would say like that was really illuminating for me that that kid was going to like all colleges the same way she liked the one she went to, and other kids of mine would have made wherever they went like more fun than she did. Like she wasn't
Yeah.
a kid who was going to find college to be the highlight of her life, and other kids, wherever you put them, they were going to be fine.
Yeah.
So I think like less emphasis on, getting the perfect place and more on like a place your kid could be good.
So it's funny. So my third one brushes right up to that one. So I'm going to skip to that and I'll go back to my second one, which is the whole, and I of course can't think of the name of the book either. It's like, where you go is not who you are. Who you
It's
are is
not who
not
you'll be, I think.
something like that. So
Maybe
what I
Jessica can look it up. Jessica's on right now. Look up. Oh,
perfect.
wait, she put it here. Where You Go Is Not Who You'll Be by Frank Bruni.
Okay. So I think he is
Know it
also
just for
the
the title. I mean, I'd say read the book too because it's a great book, but just the title's enough.
totally, totally. And I think it's Frank as well, because I wrote the whole idea of how you go to college is the messaging. It's how you go. And I think I wish I had known that again. Got better each time, but like if from early high school you could message, it doesn't matter where you go. It's how you go and how you meet people and what you do there. And one of the things I jotted down when I was thinking about this was it's often just how you show up to life. It's so similar, right? Like, okay, I'm going to embrace this, or I'm going to try this, or so I think that same messaging that I think so many of us want for our kids, which is showing up and taking advantage of things and like kind of forging your path. It's probably no different. So,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think it's a good testament to like how you're going to do those jobs that aren't great,
Mhm.
because you're going to
Mhm.
have a shitty job. And
Totally.
like I've seen some of my kids have a shitty job that turned out to be the best experience they'll ever have. Not the most enjoyable, but the best
Yeah.
learning experience because they had to struggle to figure out how to make it work when it wasn't working so well, which is
Yeah.
like a great skill set.
Yeah.
Um, we talk about college all the time at Your Teen, which might feel counterintuitive to people who are listening. Like we talk about it all the time at Your Teen because we think more information actually reduces your stress when it's the right kind of information, like the information about, should you think about college freshman year of high school? So we just had a webinar about that. And it's not to make people crazy about college at all. It's really to say, like, maybe these 5 things would be helpful for you to think about. They're good for life. They're not targeted specifically toward college, because we don't want you to live 4 years of high school in order to get into the college. But the more information I had, and I don't know if you felt the same way, Stephanie, I could discount it because like I don't care
Mhm.
about that piece of information, but I also could feel a little more in control. Like not knowing could sometimes spiral me into like, these other parents around me who were hyper about everything, and not knowing was I wrong in not being as hyper. Like maybe I
Mhm.
could now worry about not worrying. And so I think
Totally.
giving like a framework of what is reasonable, getting that kind of information, I think can really make a difference. And so, one of the reasons we're putting on these 3 free webinars is to give people only 5 things each night. So last Tuesday night was for freshmen, parents of freshmen.
Mhm.
You can still sign up and get the replay. And Jessica's going to put all these links in here in case you're interested. This coming Tuesday is for parents of sophomores, and then the February 1st one is for parents of seniors. And Sunya says might help to have a webinar of respected adults who had gone to no-name colleges. Oh yes, that is such a good idea. There's so many of us. Thank you, Sunya. Great comment. We had one time we did one of our college, what were the journals, the magazines called? Uh, our annual college guide. That's what
Oh, okay.
yeah. So we had in there one time,
Oh,
Ayala Waldman and Michael Chabon and so Ayala gave us a quote, and she said, one of us went to Harvard, one of us went to Pitt, and one of us got a Pulitzer Prize. Guess which one? So not that Pitt is a no name, but Harvard is the name we all, hear about. And her husband, who went to Pitt, got the Pulitzer Prize. So thank you, Sonia. Great point. Okay, what's next on
wait,
your
you just
list?
wait. I wanna tag on to something you said about the ninth grade workshops. It made me think of 2 things. Let's see if I can remember both of them. One is that I remember when we used to run our live events years ago for college. And I remember a mom of a ninth grader saying to us after, my friends were giving me a hard time. Like, why am I coming to this? Why are you starting that in ninth grade? She's like, oh my God, I feel so much better. I feel like I get
Yeah.
it. I see. And I thought that was so well said, because like, it's exactly what we're talking about, right? That you could kind of see the landscape. The other thought I had was, I
What
remember,
let me just
go
jump in
ahead.
to say, because our mission is to calm you down, not to rev you
Correct.
up.
Yes, yes, great point. The other thing I remember is when Lane was in ninth and I had a senior, Ethan was a senior. So like Ethan was applying to colleges. And I remember at Lane's school, they were calling us in for the ninth grade talk about college. And I'm like, I remember I was walking, I was on the phone with Todd, he was out of town. And I'm like, this is crazy. Why am I going to this? And I know so much. And I get into the room and they shared some stats. And, a lot of parents, it's first time, first kid, and they shared a lot of stats. So just how the college process has changed. And I thought that was really good, and what those numbers look like and where the priorities are. And then she got to, okay, now I'm going to tell you what you need to do. And I thought, are you kidding? And she said, you don't have to do anything. Just support your daughter, just be there for her, and let her do herself. And I thought that was such a great message. Like, just let her
Well,
be.
yeah,
Like, they gave
I
us
mean,
the overview.
just to put a caveat around that, you
Yeah,
were at a place where there was tremendous college support. So some people are
true.
in schools where they're not getting that
True.
from the school. So you
That's
might, if
true.
you're listening to this and you don't have like the astonishing college guidance that some schools give their students, you might need to play a
Yes,
bigger role.
totally fair. And my point in saying that was just more about the age, about the ninth
Uh,
grader. Um,
Yeah, so check if you have a ninth grader,
mm,
check out the webinar because it
yep,
was 5 points. It was really quick
exactly.
and really helpful. My thing that I would say I didn't do a good job at, that I don't know how I would do it differently, but I know I would focus on it differently, is mental health.
Mm,
So I think that the best thing we can give our kids in high school are the tools to navigate stress, anxiety, mental health issues on their own when they're in college. And whether that's getting them in a therapist if they are dealing with something in high school that they can take with them to college, whatever it is, I would say that high school is it's like a gift to us that we don't know as we're living through it, but we still have a role in their lives, in their daily lives. And whether they seem like they're not listening or not, we have way more power than we have when we send them off to college. So it's a chance to just come up with some like protective factors for them, whether it's identifying a person who isn't you that they feel more comfortable talking with, an aunt or somebody that just like gets them set for everyone's going to encounter struggles. There's no way
yeah.
we're not sending our kids off like fully baked and nothing will ever
Mhm.
throw them because that's not life. But when we stumble, what are the tools we call upon? And that tool might be that we know how to soothe ourselves, or we know that exercise makes everything better for us, but it might be that we need a therapist or an aunt or
Great one.
somebody. So I would have done a better job at um, identifying people as it was clear I wasn't a kid's person to, say, it doesn't have to be me. I'm fine with that. But we got to find somebody who's your person.
I love that one. And I love the idea what you just said about the stumbling, because I think we have this incredible tolerance for their stumbling in their early years. And they're going to stumble their whole lives. So why would the college process or being in college or that time, why would that be, let's call it 5 to 6 years, taking the years they go through, some take longer, count their senior year in there, you know what I mean? So it's like, there's so much of that, or again, like life. So the second thing I wrote, which you just had like kind of the antidote for, is how we message about how stressful junior year is. They all hear about the dreaded junior year. And I remember being shocked how stressful first semester senior year was. And I didn't know that till the first one. And then I had the ability to warn the others, like, hey, you hear a lot about this, but I just want to tell you, it's going to be busy. And it also helped, I think, allowing them to take some summer time to do some of the things that were going to come that fall. Because nobody talks about how busy that first semester is. They've still got school and they've got all their applications. If people talk about junior year, it's just, I think junior year is stressful, senior year is busy, which is also stressful.
Oh, that's so interesting. I actually, on the tip of my tongue, was just going to say, I think junior year is like, I think the overwhelm of junior year is how much has to get done.
Mm.
It's just there's so like you have to navigate what people say is the most important year of your academic
Yes.
career. You know, there's so much pressure on them. Senior year, I think the biggest thing that I felt in my house was the unknown. Like
Yeah.
let's just say in my head I've done everything I've been asked to do. It's now out of my hands, and I have to learn to sit with this not knowing. Like, what's the outcome going to be of this?
Yeah.
All right. Anything to finish it off with?
No, I mean, I think if I were to like summarize everything we're saying, it it is really about just giving them the support they need at a time that feels really critical to them. And it is critical. I mean, I, it's so hard. It's so hard to find that right balance. And it's true of everything, but it might just be a time they need a little extra love and support and not questions and, and directives from us.
Yeah, I think that's such a good note. That's really such a good point. I guess my closing point would be, I had to learn how to take myself at my emotional
Mm,
self out of the story,
yeah.
because I could easily get too invested in the outcome, which wasn't healthy since they're already too invested in the
Yes.
outcome. So I got really much better at actually not caring what the
Yeah.
results were and only worrying about their well-being and how they would cope with whatever the results were. But again, I had 5 chances, and not everybody has 5
Maybe
chances.
that's the takeaway. Give
Yeah,
yourself
no, I
lots of
would
at
say
bats.
definitely not for everybody. But I do really think that if hearing from us that it's a struggle, it is a
Yeah.
struggle to be so invested in our kids, love them so deeply, care so much about their future, and then kind of step away from some of those things that we thought were really important.
Yeah.
So that was the hard work for me. All right,
Yeah.
everybody. Have a great week. Thanks, Lori. It's great to see you. We haven't, Lori, I'm going to just put this up here because I haven't seen you in a while. Thanks, ladies. Great advice. Lori, thanks for being here with us. Everyone have a great week.
Bye, guys.
Oh, and sign up for the webinars. They're all free.